The cockpit smelled of cold coffee and fear. Captain Harold Vance set down his pen. Through the windshield, the runway lights of San Juan Airport glowed amber against a clear November sky. In his logbook, he had just written, "Passengers boarded, fuel confirmed, heading to Miami." He did not know, could not have known that the metal beneath him would not touch American soil for another 39 years. On the 3rd of November 1955, Eastern Coastal Airways Flight 914 departed San Juan, Puerto Rico, bound for Miami, Florida. The Lockheed Constellation carried 31 passengers and a crew of 4. Radio contact ceased 40 minutes into the flight. Search teams combed the Atlantic for 11 days. No wreckage, no bodies, no signal. On November 14th, the search was called off. The flight became a footnote, a single line in a leather-bound ledger of vanished aircraft. 39 years later, on the 3rd of December 1994, a maintenance crew at Henderson International Airport in Nevada, a field that officially opened in 1982, made a routine inspection of Hangar 7. Behind stacked crates of decommissioned military equipment, they found a Lockheed Constellation, serial number visible beneath peeling paint. Its landing gear was down, its 4 engines were cold. On the fuselage, faded lettering read, Eastern Coastal Airways, Flight 914. Inside, the cabin was pristine. No decay, no dust. 31 passengers sat in their seats, seatbelts fastened, eyes open. A flight attendant's hand still gripped a beverage cart. A child clutched a stuffed rabbit. A man near the rear window held a pen over an unfinished letter. The coffee in the cups was still warm. Every watch in the cabin had stopped at 11:47 a.m. The precise moment radio contact had been lost in 1955. The hangar's ambient temperature was 38 degrees Fahrenheit. The passengers showed no signs of distress. The FBI arrived within hours. Federal agents cordoned off Hangar 7 and began cataloging every object on board. The passenger manifest matched a 1,955 Eastern Coastal Airways roster names, occupations, carry-on items. All 35 individuals were accounted for in 1994 census records, social security databases, and death certificates. Several had died in the intervening years, one as recently as November 1994, 6 weeks before the discovery. No one on board had aged beyond 1,955. Investigators found a portable radio on the flight deck, its dial fixed on 121.5 MHz as the international distress frequency. The frequency had been reserved for civilian aviation use since 1958, 3 years after the flight's disappearance. A maintenance tag on the left landing gear bore a stamp dated October 1971. The aircraft's fuel gauge read empty. Its fuel tanks contained a synthetic compound not manufactured until 1987. A newspaper tucked beneath seat 14C was dated the 4th of November 1955, 1 day after the scheduled arrival. The prevailing theory from the outset was forgery or hoax. Officials speculated that the aircraft was planted, that Hangar 7 was staged to look decades old, that the bodies were props, that the entire scene was an elaborate fraud designed to draw media attention. Federal auditors examined the hangar's construction records. The building had been erected in 1982, the year the airport opened. There was no record of a Constellation ever being stored there. No hangar logs, no work orders, no receipt of delivery. The official position settled on unexplained misidentification. The case was sealed in 1996. 3 details never appeared in the official summary. First, the aircraft's black box, a model that was not standard equipment on commercial flights until 1960, contained a single recording. Static, then a child's laughter, then silence. Second, the aircraft's altimeter, frozen at 11,400 feet, corresponded to no known flight corridor between San Juan and Miami in November 1955. Third, and most unsettling, a customs declaration form signed by Captain Vance listed the flight's cargo as samples nature unspecified. The cargo hold was empty. Aviation historians who later reviewed the case in classified briefings advanced a quieter theory. They proposed that Flight 914 had not crashed or vanished, it had arrived somewhere else. The evidence pointed to a corridor, a narrow band of anomalous atmospheric conditions, documented since the 1940s in military records, that exists briefly over specific ocean regions under precise pressure and temperature combinations. Pilots who encountered it described a sensation of suspension falling upward in one survivor's account. Whether the corridor opened, closed, or simply moved is unknown. No second Flight 914 has appeared. The 31 passengers of Flight 914 were never formally identified by name in any public record. The sealed FBI file remains inaccessible under national security exemptions renewed every 5 years. In 2003, a retired air traffic controller in Tampa claimed that a radar station in the Florida Straits had logged an unidentified contact on the 3rd of November 1955, a contact that appeared on screen for 11 minutes, then vanished, then reappeared in an entirely different sector before disappearing permanently. His transcript was destroyed in 2008. The question that haunts this case is not where Flight 914 went. It is whether it ever really left. Dread. Next episode tease. Next on Phantom Atlas. In 1923, a British expedition walked into the jungles of Honduras and did not emerge for 6 days. When they returned, every man had aged differently. One had not aged at all. We will examine the Rub al Khali journals and ask who or what had been reading alongside them.